Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Meet the Candidates. I'm your host, Jonathan Grabowski. We're in the Marshfield Spring 2022 election season. We're talking to all the candidates that are running for contested offices here. Just a reminder, election day this year is April 30th. So joining me on the show today is a candidate who's running for re-election to the Marshfield Board of Public Works, and that's Bob Shaughnessy. So Bob, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk about a wide variety of items here, about the board, the department, but let's start off with the easy stuff. Who's Bob Shaughnessy?
Who's Bob Shaughnessy? I'm a family guy. I'm married. My wife Judith. I have 4 grown kids. I was blessed with 2 grandkids. I started in Marshfield in the summer of 1956, and then when I got of age, I came to. I built a house in Marshfield, and I've been living here since 1983 full time. Since building a first house, I moved to another neighborhood because the road was too busy. And then I ran for the Board of Public Works in 2002, and with a little vacation for 2 years. In 2017, I retired, and then I came back in 2019, and the people of Marshfield voted me back in. I'm a professional. I've got 40-year plus experience working in the environmental field. I'm a contract administrator. I'm a certified procurement officer. My current position is with the Department of Environmental Protection.
Excellent.
My education is, I got my bachelor's in biology and earth science. I like both, so you can understand that. Then I got a master's in environmental engineering from ULowell, and was working in the state and kind of got frustrated about trying to get projects moved forward. I got a master's in public administration where we go after grants and understand funding. As I said before, I'm elected in 2002, and I've got a lot of experience when working knowledge of DPW functions. For my first 14 years of working for the state was the Metropolitan District Commission, where I was I left there as the capital budget director, and I worked as an engineer, and I plowed snow, and I understand what the inner workings of a DPW from the state level and the municipality level.
Excellent. So you had mentioned, you were on the Board of Public Works for several terms. You took time off, and you decided to come back again. What made you decide to come back and run?
The charter change.
Okay.
In 2002, they were doing the charter change. I thought that they had conflicts at the Board of Public Works. I thought if I could put myself as a candidate and show that we can have a good separation between the Select Board and the Board of Public Works, if we have efficient people working on that side of the aisle. Steve Robinson took my place, and his agenda was to eliminate the Board of Public Works, in which I worked from 2002 to 2017 to build up, and so they wanted to create a town manager, and there would be no buffer for the protection of the water supply and the water system. So I ran again to make sure that the water system would not be getting in the hands of a contractor and not townspeople, and that the land could not be sold off.
Okay. So take us through the last 3 years. You came back. What's the last 3 years been like on the board?
Like everybody else, it's been very, very difficult with COVID-19.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of the 3 years of my past term was dealing with, COVID-19. All the DPW operations were working. People were trying to be safe. We still got things done. I mean, we did Ocean Bluff revetment design for the rebuilding of the revetment wall. We're moving seawalls along through Brant Rock. we got the funding for the police station, the senior center, seawalls, and also the DPW garage. And we've had other challenges. We had a water break going across the South River, and we're going to have to do a redesign and do an end round to get from the water from the high zone to the low zone, because we don't have that connection going across the South River. We've done sidewalks. I was big back in when Kathy Weber was on the board back in 2008. We did a master plan for all sidewalks in Marshfield for pedestrian safety, and it's been very difficult to get funding. But finally, we're moving ahead with Brant Rock sidewalks. We're moving ahead. We did the first phase of Marshfield Hills sidewalks, and we have challenges, but it's been very busy. We had a sewer break in Brant Rock at one point, and you deal with things as they happen and make sure it happens. And being on the board, that's one of our roles.
Yeah. So what's been maybe one or two of the big accomplishments over the past 3 years?
Well, I was shocked to realize that the Couch Cemetery was running out of space. Back when I first went back 8-9 years ago, Tom Whalen up Marshfield Hills, he was on the conservation committee. He was on the open space committee with me, and he was also on the CPA committee. And he was a big advocate of making sure that the historical cemeteries were cared for, and he did a great job doing that. And we created a cemetery committee made out of a number of different people, historical people, and others, to figure out where we're going. My focus was, we need to do a new cemetery, and we need to make sure it doesn't look like the drive-in theater. It looks like a real good cemetery. So the new cemetery is something that I started when I was on before I retired. Other things that we accomplished is we're still getting seawall grants. I work with Jimmy Cantwell and getting state bond funding for a whole program of dam protection and also shorefront protection. And, just highway road rehabilitation, putting everything in a system, rating it, and moving forward. So that's pretty much what the accomplishments are. It's just, making sure there's good planning happening at the DPW. We don't just spend money because to spend money. We make sure it's all part of our planned program activity.
So let's get to why you're here today. So why have you decided to seek re-election?
That's a very good question. My wife asks me that all the time.
I'm sure.
It's like about basically just to continue the things that I first ran on in 2002. I wanted to install good planning, good management, seek out grant opportunities in Marshfield, so the taxpayers of Marshfield doesn't have to pay 100% of the bill. It's a shared responsibility from the different levels of government. As we move forward, there will be grant programs that will be trickled down from the feds to the state and then to the towns. And I want to make sure that we get our share. Bottom line is that we don't want to have to pay for everything out of the tax base. We can share that responsibility at the federal and the state level because they're looking for beans. They're looking for projects to do. We just need to present those projects for funding. Really, the bottom line is I'm looking at water protection. That's my really focus. I've lived my life protecting the water supply from the state level across the board, and in Marshfield too. And there's two components of water. There's the quantity of water, how much water can you take out of the ground, and the quality. And so the quality has always been a challenge. We put treatment systems on some. I said in 1990 we had problems with the quality of the water. Now we're getting in developments that are like Roach Brothers across from. There's one development, and now they're proposing another development with 30 apartments. Seven multi-story buildings. There's a third of them. I think less than a third of them one single bedroom. There's half of them are 2 bedrooms, and then there's 3 bedrooms. So each apartment would be equal in the water supply system to a single-family house. That's a lot. If you had a 300-house development up, that would really impact your water supply. So my focus is really make sure that we have enough water so that people are not on water bans, and that you can actually use the water to water your garden.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure that there's still good management, because we changed superintendents sometime along the way. Tom Reynolds left, he retired, Sean Patterson came in, and then Sean got another job somewhere else, and now Tommy's here for a couple of years. And within this term, we'll probably be looking for a new superintendent at some point in the future.
Right. So I like to do a little Civics 101 with people. So in your view, what's the role of the Board of Public Works, for those that don't know?
For those who don't know, they can read it. It's spelled out in the charter. It's been attested in 2002 and in 2016 or 17 to try to change the board to eliminate it. It's really, when you get down to it, it's a management function. It's to organize and manage the functions of all the enterprise funds, the water, sewer, and trash, solid waste. It's to manage the general funds of highway, cemeteries, equipment, maintenance for all of the town's vehicles. And we have a real financial fiduciary of all the enterprise funds, and we run it like a business.
Right. Right. So talk about the work that goes into being on the board. You just don't, show up at 6:30 or whatever, 6 o'clock on a Monday night. Talk about the work that goes on behind the prep and everything.
Well, one is, in order to be on the Board of Public Works, you need to know what our DPW his role is. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of time. My wife complains that you spend way too much time, but you need to do it, because I do a lot of research. I mean, I'll read up on things. I'll look at the grant opportunities. I'll look at what's happening across the state, the country, that could affect things that happen in Marshfield. You need to be really informed, and there's a lot of work that goes into that. I mean, and you really need to bring to the board, those things that could affect our infrastructure, our water system, our increased traffic, and those types of things. Mm-hmm. Pedestrian safety has always been a big thing with me, having brought 4 kids up in this town. And just being informed of what's happening outside of Marshfield that could affect could happen inside Marshfield.
So talk about the various divisions. That's one thing I think people don't understand, is that there's all these little entities under the board, under the department.
Well, you think of it as a funding mechanism.
Okay.
The board has really 2 funding components. Okay. It has the enterprise funds, where you pay it on your water, sewer, and trash bill, and that funds the water department, the sewer department, and solid waste. And then you have your general funds, your highway department, snow plowing, your cemetery, trees and greens, cutting the grass in the ball fields. And then all equipment maintenance for all the vehicles, police, fire, mm-hmm. and DPW and town hall. And then the highway department does get state funding to repair the main roads. And then we look for town funds to do the secondary roads, neighborhood roads. Okay. And if we don't get secondary in the town budget, we can't do it. Our hands are tied. We only can do what you can get funded for. And then those other opportunities are go after state grants. Those state grants that are safe routes to schools, that you work with others in town to do so. And there are opportunities out there.
Okay. So what's the current state of the Board of Public Works?
Well, there's 3 members. Mm-hmm. There's myself, Dave Carrier, who is a former superintendent of Public Works, and
I can restart that question, so don't worry.
Sorry.
That's all right. I'll restart that question.
Right. Sorry about that.
Nah, you're not the first. Don't worry. I've done that before myself.
Right.
So, in your opinion, what's the current state of the Board of Public Works?
The Board of Public Works is made up of 3 members. Dave Carrier, former superintendent of Public Works, and John Kuzak. We work efficiently. We manage, hopefully effectively. We all have different opinion. We all bring something to the table. Sometimes it's, as in any group, you got to have a good discussion. And just because somebody has a different opinion, that's okay, but we still have a board.
Right.
So, but our focus has really been, and since I've been on the board, I've really installed, good planning, good master planning. Especially in water and sewer, we're updating the water and sewer master plans. Solid waste has been a challenge, and because of we pay now for recycling, whereas before we used to get paid for it. Then now there's regulations coming down that you can't put everything in the waste stream. Mattresses are separate. There's a whole you can't put batteries. You have to have hazardous waste day. All those components. Cemetery trees and greens. We're just getting $100,000 for town meeting for the new cemetery, and 2 columbariums for ashes. So there are 2 structures that so they don't get buried. We have a separate structure. So it's going to be a nice cemetery. Equipment maintenance. During COVID, police and fire had farmed out to vendors because we moved from Parsons Street and we weren't quite ready up at the garage, and we're taking that back over as of May 1st. And we're working with the police and fire and cooperative.
Awesome.
And some of the big fire trucks and everything have to go out anyway, but majority, it's more efficient to do it through the equipment maintenance and through town employees. Highway, we get Chapter 90 money. I understand that the governor is going to give us a little bit more this year for highways, for help the potholes out. But those are the main roads, not the neighborhood roads, but the main roads. Then we're still applying for grants for sidewalks, safe routes. We're doing a complete street policy that was accepted by the DOT, the Department of Transportation. We're doing we're finishing up the technical prioritization plan, which will probably be done in October, which will be eligible for $400,000 worth of complete street programs to help us out. Then most of that sidewalk stuff, pedestrian safety. We've been working with the planning department on shared streets, on crosswalk enhancements for pedestrian safety. We're working with the schools for safe routes to the schools, and each school has to apply for that, and we're trying to help them out from the engineering component.
Right. So what's the biggest issue facing the Department of Public Works, and if re-elected, how would you take it on?
Oh, you jumped.
Did I? No, I didn't. What's the biggest? So you can go to that. We're not.
Okay.
We'll edit it. So
okay,
I'll ask it again. So, what's the biggest issue the department's facing, and how would you take it on if re-elected?
Well, 2 issues.
Okay.
Which are dear to my heart is water supply and water supply protection, and shorefront protection.
Okay.
I understand both. I mean, I'm a water engineer, wastewater engineer, and when I was an undergrad, I took a course in earth science for coastal geomorphology, the shifting of sands along the shorefront, and it's always moving, but you can protect it, and those are the 2 big issues. Water supply has 2 components: the quantity and quality. The quantity is being threatened by development. We need to have some development in this town, smart growth, which would be in the downtown. Septic systems and bad business housekeeping practices going into septic systems could ruin our water supply. So when I was on the Open Space Committee, we wanted to have buffers. We bought land, a lot of it through grant money, to give us a buffer so that it didn't get into our wells. Shoreline protection. We're looking at, moving right down the coast. We've done a ton of seawalls, and the problem is that what's in front of it? There's no sand. At high tide, there's no sand, and that's a problem. So we're looking to get maybe resand some of those beaches.
Okay.
The dunes at the public beach. If we lose some of those dunes, that would mean that a good storm would flood the downtown, because that's the only barrier that holds it to the South River in order to go all the way down. Old Wrexham dunes are being worn. There's dunes down on the Duxbury side, on the end of Marshfield. So we're looking at not just the hard surfaces, but the soft surfaces also, and come up with a plan. And there'll probably be funding for coastal resiliency, and there are grants out there, so we could go after to do so. So those are the two things that I really want to work on if I get reelected.
Okay, great. So we kind of touched upon that. So what's something that you bring to the board?
Experience.
Perfect.
The experience. I'm an environmental engineer. I've got 18 years of experience working on the board. I'm a grant writer. I'm a finance guy. I'm one package.
Excellent.
But I'm also a team player. And not everybody has all the answers, but collectively, all three members and staff can work out strategies, and we can be, amongst all of us, we can be the smartest of all as a group, not necessarily an individual.
That's really interesting, because it leads to my next question of, if reelected, you're one of three members. So how do you work with your fellow board members to make sure that the department is the best it can be?
We divvy up certain things. Now, Dave Carey has been dealing with the new buildings up there. I deal with a lot of the water issues and some of the shorefront stuff. John Cusack is John Cusack, and he likes to dabble on the enterprise funds. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily agree with John all the time, but the thing is, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But we are a team, right. And we respect each other. Right. We don't necessarily have to all get along, but we respect each other.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So if reelected, how would you make sure citizens are heard and people are aware of what the Board of Public Works is doing?
That's a very good question. We at a couple months ago was working with one of our consultants, and Tom Reynolds had brought up that we want to establish a social media platform that we would keep up to date, so that people could go on the web, look at the website, and get a first-hand knowledge in real time of what's happening through it. We're also changing the billing cycle from 6 months to 3 months to allow people to budget better. I mean, when you get that water and sewer bill and it's like, oh my God, I wish they had this, I only get half of it. Well, mm-hmm. That's what we're doing. We've been working with the town treasurer and collector and others to make it easier and be more timely.
So we're on the home stretch here. So we always try to end with some fun stuff. We talked a lot about what you're doing at the Board of Public Works. So let's have some fun. So what's a Bob Shaughnessy fun fact?
I know. I mean, it's like you asked me 3 years ago, and I told you I was a U.S. Coast Guard captain.
You can stick with that one.
But the real thing is, when I was thinking about this time, is I'm really a lifelong learner. I just love learning, getting knowledge, digging in, finding out what the subject and deal with it. And it starts anything from like the 1990s. Why are we on a water ban, and why do we have to put treatment in, and mm-hmm. what can we do about it, and what the town is not doing as far as planning to protect our wells. We've updated the Zone 2 regulations. We've worked with the Open Space Committee to seek out grants and purchase a ton of land in this town. But the fun fact is, really, is it never gets old. And also, I'm a public employee with the state, so I take no compensation for this job. Town gives you a little bit of compensation, but in the 18 years, I never take a penny.
Excellent. So the new fun one that we have now this year is, in the movie about you, who's playing you?
I'd like to rephrase that question. a little
Sure,
bit.
feel
It's
free.
like, I said it's probably a two-part. I look at the Board of Public Works as like a movie. It's like It's a Wonderful Life, with the select board trying to eliminate us twice in 2002 and 2017-18, but they didn't succeed. It's sort of like the same thing as what George Bailey was going through with the building and loan. We survived, but that's the board. My favorite movie is the movie What About Bob? And the reason why I like that is the character has a lot of phobias, and so he takes a vacation from his problems, and then he finds himself able to stretch his abilities to achieve and grow to a better person, and have a better life. I mean, if you remember the movie, he was moving outside his comfort zone. Being on the board, pushing yourself to public speaking, and being in the public eye. I look about What About Bob? And at the end of the movie, though, he overcame his phobias. He married Dr. Leo Martin's sister, and he became a psychologist. And he wrote a book just like Dr. Martin did. So I like that movie, and those are the reasons why.
That's a good one. So if people want to find out more about you, is there a place they can go, or?
I'm in the phone book.
Excellent.
I'm in the phone book. Call the DPW, leave a message. I'd be more than happy to get back to you.
And last but certainly not least, why are you the best candidate for this position?
I believe I'm the best candidate because I bring a broad experience to the board that represents the citizens of Marshall and DPW issues. I was on the Open Space Committee for a number of years. I know how to deal with how to get grants, external funding to protect our wells and in different projects. I'm a good listener. I'm willing to work and communicate with others to develop a strategy and plan to bring issues to town meeting for a town-wide discussion and a decision. And I really ask people to give me a vote for 3 more years so I can continue what we started back in 2002.
Great. Well, Bob, I want to thank you for joining us today, and I want to wish you the best of luck during this really always fun election season.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. And that's all the time we have for Meet the Candidates. Until next time, make it a great day.